Hello, Honorable Foreign Minister. There's something going on that we don't understand. So, Foreign Minister Sami Okudzato Ablakwa here, I believe the youngest Foreign Minister that we've ever had. Congratulations to him in that regard. He decided to do a shake-up at the Ghanaian embassy in Washington not long ago. We all heard it. People applauded it. But it appears that his shake-up has created a lot more difficulty. So the allegations that were raised by him, which has been raised by him again in Parliament yesterday, is that there's a syndicate at Ghana's embassy in Washington, and that syndicate is visa racketeering for Ghanaians who are also Americans, dual citizens, who are looking for visa to come to Ghana. Ablakwa indicated that the process is corrupted by some gentleman. He mentioned the name, a certain Mr. Kwating, and that he has made himself a middleman, intercepted the process, takes money from people, keeps the money, and issues them visas, and that he was going to pull that down. In fact, he actually closed down the embassy, unfortunately, for a few days. Well, he announced an indefinite closure. Later, he came and said it will be open on a certain day. Everybody was wild because closing down an embassy is a diplomatic statement. That means quite a bit. Anybody who studied a bit of politics will know, or international politics will know, that announcing that an embassy has been closed in another person's country really is a political diplomatic statement. That means something. It indicates a certain hostility between the two countries. So I guess he was spoken with, and quickly he came and changed it, and the embassy is opened. Now, a few days later, a lady comes up on social media who is not well known. She says she's Jamaican and Ghanaian and American, and that she can't understand how she's not able to access a visa from the embassy. Phone calls go dead, emails go dead, nobody replies, and this is all happening under the aegis of the foreign minister. Now, today, or was it yesterday? I think it's today. The foreign minister was in Parliament, and he said this. Ablakwa blames U.S. Postal Services for visa delivery delays. I didn't understand it. U.S. Postal Services are to be blamed for the visa delivery delays. Is there a breakdown in U.S. Postal Services that the American authorities have not announced? Is there a problem at the U.S. Postal Services? When he said it, he didn't quite explain it. He just said that the Postal Services, I've never seen a foreign minister blame U.S. Postal Services for delays in issuing visa to your people. I don't understand it. I mean, it's really, really interesting. But that's what he said, and I don't know. So today in Parliament, this is what he said, and let me read it. The Minister for Foreign Affairs, Samuel Okudzato Ablakwa, has attributed delays in the delivery of U.S. visa and passports to logistical challenges on the part of the United States Postal Services. I'm sure that Minister Kofi Boah might have a better explanation to this. You know why I'm saying that? I'm saying that because Minister Kofi Boah used to be Postmaster General at Washington, D.C., one of the highest offices held by any African for a very long time in Washington, D.C. That was celebrated among many Ghanaian communities in America. At that time, when in Ghana, we heard that a Ghanaian has become the Postmaster General. It's a very, very important position in Washington. Because our post offices don't work, it might sound not so important. But in Washington, D.C. is one of the most important positions, the Postmaster General. And Kofi Boah occupied that position before he came to Elembele to be elected as Member of Parliament. So I'm guessing that, I'm hoping that Ablakwa has that information. Sometimes these are young men, they don't even have the information of who has been where. But if Ablakwa had that information, I think he should have called Kofi Boah to explain to him that we're having some challenges with the U.S. postal system. And I'm sure with the press of a button or a phone call, Kofi Boah could have been able to solve that problem, because Kofi Boah was there in 2007. Yes, in 2007, 2008, Emmanuel Ama Kofi Boah was the Postmaster General in Washington, D.C. That's a matter of fact. So I'm not sure what is happening. They are both in the cabinet. Kofi Boah is Lance Minister. You are Foreign Minister. You're having difficulties. You just call him. And Kofi Boah will be able to solve this problem for you. I don't know whether he called him, but I'm guessing he didn't. So this is where we are. He says that the U.S. visa and passport to logistical, he attributing the challenges to logistical challenges on the part of the United States Postal Services. He, Ablakwa, made this revelation on the floor of Parliament on Wednesday, June 18th, while addressing growing concerns over the late arrival of visa packages, which have sparked anxiety among applicants in recent weeks. according to the minister, although the processes for issuing visas and passports occurring, they were not. If they were, we would have heard about it. They were not occurring. They are occurring under your watch. And then you come and speak plenty English, that this and that and that. I'm receiving texts right now. People are still complaining in Washington, D.C., and we're going to put them out on social media that the thing is not working. It was working before. It is not working now. What is the problem? So I saw this video and people sent it to me on social media, and we put it up on our social media page. Some of you don't look at social media, so have a look at the video. It's a lady who says she's Jamaican, she's Ghanaian, she wants to come and something. Have a look at the video.
My grandma just died in Jamaica. I am devastated. I want to go home for her funeral and I can't because of the Ghanaian embassy in Washington, D.C. I hope this message finds all Ghanaians and especially the Ghanaian embassy. I sent off my passport over 6 weeks ago to the Ghanaian embassy in Washington, D.C. to get my Ghanaian visa renewed. It has now been 6 weeks later and I have not received my passport. I have called the embassy. Nobody answers the phone. I have emailed them. Nobody answers an email. And when I'm online trying to get an update from their chat representative, they are telling me they cannot help me. You promised, and I paid for a 15 to 20 day service. It is now 6 weeks later. I have emailed you stressing that I have a death in my family and I need to get home, and nobody can give me an update on where my passport is. This is unacceptable, Ghana. This is unreasonable, Ghana. And yes, I know I can travel to Ghana visa-free on my Jamaican passport, but I do not have a current Jamaican passport. How is it you can accept people's money, people who have a love and a genuine interest in visiting your country, and you treat people like this? Where is the level of customer service, Ghana? You have taken my $150 to renew my visa. I have a family emergency, and you mean to tell me that I have been emailing and calling and chatting for the past 3 weeks and nobody has the courtesy to respond? This is stressing me out. If anybody has a contact at the Ghanaian embassy in Washington, D.C. or anywhere in the U.S. that can help me, please DM me. I need to go home to bury my grandma. Please.
Well, so that's the video, and we hope that it will get better as time goes on and as we monitor it. So that's the Ablakwa video. Now, so the amendment was proposed that the MPP should have its delegate congress 2 years, not later than 2 years. So you can have it 3 years, a year and a half, whatever, but not later than 2 years. If you look at that proposal, what the MPP is doing for January 2026 is in line with its constitution. It says not later than 2 years. So we'll get there. So this not later than 2 years was proposed in 1997. When it was proposed in 1997, 1997 was just 3 years to the election. So they had to hold a Congress the next year, having held a Congress 2 years earlier in 1996. That was the first Congress that had a candidate being elected 2 years before the election. Again, Flight Lieutenant Rawlings was watching. Then he sold it to the NDC that you also need when you are not in government. So there's a caveat. When you are not in government, you elect 2 years before. When you are in government, you elect 1 year before. So they elected, not in government, they had to elect 2 years before. So this took the MPP to the Sunyani, October, crunch, do or die, all hell break loose, come high water, come heaven. The candidates must be elected in October. And I have to proudly say that I was in Sunyani back in the day. Myself and Carlos Bombrazi wrote a report on the Congress for the West Africa magazine. We've been doing this for a very long time. That's what 1998 is 27 years ago. Yeah, 27 years ago we were in Sunyani at the Sunyani Catering Center. And that was the first time I had a conversation with Professor Albert Edubuahin. Edubuahin told me during lunch, all that is captured in my book. Edubuahin told me during lunch that even though he thinks that Akufo-Addo is a great candidate, for the occasion of today, John Agyekum Kufuor would be elected. I remember that it never left me. Edubuahin explained to me, he was sitting in the company of Courage Kwashiga, explained to me why he thinks that John Agyekum Kufuor would win the contest. We went in, Stanley Adjiri Blankson and Kwabena Japan were the campaign managers for Nana Akufo-Addo. And we went into the race. Akufo-Addo was very popular and a lot of music and cheering. At the end of the day, the results were announced. It is my distinguished pleasure to take you back to Sunyani now through the lenses of Ghana television. Let's watch this, come back and do the analysis. This is what happened in Sunyani for the MPP in October 1998.
Delegates Conference of the New Patriotic Party ended in Sunyani yesterday with the re-election of Mr. J.A. Kufuor as the party's flag bearer for the year 2000 elections.
Earlier in the day, supporters and members of the party had thronged the streets of the Bunoahafu regional capital with placards and pictures of the contestants. Although the atmosphere was charged, there was no incident recorded as security personnel took every step to ensure peace and comportment. The national chairman of the party, Mr. S.A. Odoye Sykes, who set the tone for the Congress, outlined the party's strategy for the year 2000 elections. Voting was supervised by officials of the Electoral Commission. Each of the 2,000 delegates from the 200 constituencies had a chance to cast his vote. The deputy chairman of the Electoral Commission, Mr. Safu Kantanka, announced the result.
Total votes cast, therefore, would be 1,993. The right was 1,984, then 9 votes were rejected. Out of this, Mr. Joseph Henry Mensah had 3 votes. That would be 0.15% of the total votes cast. Had 7 votes. That would be 0.35% cast. Nana Akufo-Addo had 628 votes cast, representing 31.64% of the total votes cast. Dr. Kofi Koiku-Apreku had 52 votes, representing 2.62% of the votes cast. Mr. John Kwame Kobia had 8 votes, representing 0.44% of the vote cast. John Agyekum Kufuor had 1,286 votes. Mr. Chairman, it is with a sense of great humility and modesty that I acknowledge the party's massive endorsement of me as the flag bearer of the MPP for election 2000. Together, we will work hard, very hard, to ensure a historic victory in the next elections. I thank you once again for the task ahead. May the Almighty Father and Allah bless and keep all of us very healthy for the years to come, so that in the year 2000, we settle for nothing but victory over NDC.
That was John Ejekumko. But sorry for the camera work. This is 1998. GBC did well to get it. But typical of the NDC, of the MPP Congress, and I think these days also the NDC, the losing candidate also spoke to endorse the winning candidate. Here is Nana Akufo-Addo accepting defeat and pledging to support John Kufuor. Bad camera shot, a bit of sound problem, but it's 1998. Have a look. Can you check? Yes. So that was how 1998 ended. So let's fast forward now to 2025. So the MPP had a humiliating defeat in 2024, the largest sort of defeat that any political party has suffered in the Fourth Republic. Until then, it was the 2016 one of the NDC, and now is the 2024 one of the MPP. So the party set up a committee to look at the constitution of the party, make recommendations to strengthen the party, make corrections on what happened, speak to diverse people, actors, non-actors, observers, civil society, political reporters, etc., etc. They spoke to a wide range of people. Now, the recommendations of the council were as follows. They wanted a reform of the delegate system. They wanted one member, one vote, recommended as a long-term goal to be implemented by 2028. That is to say, one member of the MPP, any member of the MPP who is in good standing will vote, but that's coming up later on in 2028. Short-term expansion of the electoral college at the polling station level, increase executives from 5 to 7, adding communications officer and electoral affairs officer. In the electoral area, they want to adopt the electoral commission's demarcations to reduce confusion and conflict, they say. Create a 5-member electoral area executive committee to replace the current one-man structure. Delegates inclusion expansion. The committee proposed giving voting rights at National Delegates Conference and or primaries to A, former MPs due to their experience and past constituency leadership. B, former MMDCAs voting at both parliamentary and presidential primaries. C, former ministers and deputy ministers voting only at presidential primaries. D, former constituency and regional executives voting at respective primary levels. And E, former government appointees, example ambassadors, CEOs, not automatically included unless they serve as patrons. So for the government appointees and ambassadors, they are not automatically included because they are appointees or ambassadors. They will be included if they serve as patrons of a constituency or the region. Okay, now these are the other recommendations. Presidential primaries. Strong recommendation to hold early presidential primaries, preferably by March 2026. So this is what the committee recommended after speaking to a whole lot of people. Fill the perceived power vacuum, strengthen the party unity and reorganize efforts. Abolish the superdelegate system, describing it as restrictive and outdated. Expand the presidential electoral college to include former executives, MPs, MMDCs, and ministers, national/regional patrons and elders, TESCON coordinators. All of them will be included in the presidential primary. Major recommendations: party structural reform, new standing committees, electoral affairs, communication, political strategy, and security and intelligence, new directories, policy, training and capacity building, patriotic institute, persons with disability, civil society, and professional bodies, diplomatic engagements as well. Major recommendations again: internal governance improvements, a manual for party officers to clearly outline responsibilities, especially for vice chairperson and deputies, should be a supplementary document and embedded in the constitution. Biennial delegates conference instead of annual, shifts from annual to every 2 years delegates conference. That means they're going to spend a lot more money. More include elective versus appointive positions. Recommended maintaining appointed executive positions with justification. It ensures diversity, gender, tribe, and expertise. Allows appointment of technically skilled persons who may not contest elections. Major recommendations again: youth and women participation. Redefine youth age limits from 39 to 35, aligning with the international norms and national youth policies. Voting rights for all youth delegates to elect the national youth organizer. Voting rights for all female delegates to elect the national women's organizer. Disciplinary procedures. Shift the power to suspend members pending disciplinary actions from the executive committees to disciplinary committees to avoid abuse and political victimization. Sector, committee, and policy engagement. Allow for resolution and adoption of sectoral policy papers during the delegates' conference. Clarification of leadership. Propose constitutional amendments to formally designate the national chairman as the party leader, ensuring clarity and unity in leadership structure. So this is a major amendment, because in the past, once a presidential candidate emerges, he is the leader of the party. When there's no presidential candidate, the chairman of the party. Frank Davis' committee is recommending a change in that. They want a stability. The national chairman is the leader at all times. That's what they want. Okay. So all of these proposals. So the conclusions are, they say that the recommendations aim to modernize and streamline party structures, increase inclusivity and participation, minimize factionalism and internal conflicts, respond to apathy, and promote unity and efficiency. The report provides a roadmap for a constitutional reform in line with party tradition and future electoral strategy, especially as the party prepares for what they say is victory in 2028. I think we have to applaud Frank Davis' committee. Kind of thinking that went into that was amazing. Congratulations, Mr. Davis and your team. I think you did an excellent job. And it's good for political parties to show this level of expertise and thinking and broad-based consultations and that kind of thing. It's good for the ultimate democratic dividend of our country. All right, so this is what they have recommended. Now, all of these recommendations are heading to the University of Ghana Stadium on the 19th of July for these recommendations to be accepted by the highest decision-making body of the party, the National Congress. Yes, okay.